Welcome to America. I want to show you how even somebody with the stature of a congresswoman endanger the lives of Black men, BIPOCs. I found this segment that Chris Hayes did with Jamaal Bowman about what Marjorie Taylor Greene did very disconcerting, but not surprising. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Where are the migrant
What
children?
kids?
You guys
We're
lost
accepting them. We love
No,
them.
you lost
We
them.
love the
There's
migrant
tens
children.
of thousands
Wait, we lost them.
You can't find them.
What are you
That's
talking
your
about? What are you
restriction.
talking about?
Yeah, migrant children missing.
No, we don't know the news. I don't know. That's Fox News. That's
Hey,
Fox
let me
News.
tell you
Listen, I need you to save the party.
Yelling, shouting, raising his voice. He has aggressive, his physical mannerisms are aggressive. And I am concerned about it. I feel threatened by him.
I should note that my full disclosure, my brother worked for you. He no longer does. But well, what do you want to say to that?
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's so nonsensical that it's comical. You can see clearly in the video that we were like playfully jousting with each other. She was laughing. I was laughing. We were talking about each other's party and certain issues. So the demeanor and the disposition, on the steps, it was playful. We were going after each other. Yeah. So for her the next morning to say what she said, I mean, it's a complete 180, number one. It's no longer comical now because now you are using historical racist tropes toward Black men, menacing his mannerisms. I'm afraid that's the stuff that got, Trayvon Martin killed, Tamir Rice killed, Michael Brown killed. I mean, I believe Officer Darren Smith literally talked about his presence and his strength as an excuse for killing him. And this has happened to Black men historically. And so now we're in a dangerous space. And that's why I wanted to be really, really clear to reporters today how reckless and dangerous her statements were. And she should know better. I believe she knows better. This is another reason why we need to teach the accurate history of America in our schools and make sure African-American history is a part of that, because her rhetoric and her behavior in Congress outside of me, pictures with the AR-15 with the squad behind her, chasing David Hogg and stalking him as he engaged in activism around gun violence. Her rhetoric, her language, her behavior has been aggressive and intimidating since she's gotten into Congress. Now she's trying to displace it onto me.
I want to say also that if this gesture, which you were doing, is aggressive, then all of my paisans.
That's right.
They are in trouble.
That's New York City right there.
But that is New York City right there. But the other thing, to get to your serious point, I don't want to. I mean, what I thought was, well, if she had said this without the video. Like, we have the video, right? So you could look at the video, it's like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. But when someone's just like, this Black man is intimidating and physically aggressive, I mean, yeah, that's a serious thing to say in the society in which we live and have lived for a long time.
Yeah.
And can have real consequences.
Again, throughout American history, and not just about Black men, but women of color as well. And, when I first got to Congress and I had my first conversation with the squad, remember, they were coming off of Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. They would talk about the number of death threats they would receive after Trump would say something about them. Send them back or something like that. Rise in death threats. Have to increase security. So this is dangerous territory we're walking in here. We got to be very clear about that. And we need her to say on the record, one, she should apologize to me on the record. Two, ask her directly, do you want physical violence to be inflicted upon Congressman Bowman? And let her answer that question. Because at the end of her statement, it was, we need to watch him. That's almost like Donald Trump, stand by and stand back to the Proud Boys in that debate a couple of years ago. We need to watch him. What are you saying? It's just, It's crazy. And again, this is why we have to teach history accurately so we can all be more enlightened as we govern.
Now, let me tell you, it is when you watch your TV every day and you see crime on TV, the producers that have the host doing what they're doing choose which crimes they're going to highlight. it is so often that most of the crime that they highlight will give the indication that all these violent crimes, all these the thievery, the robberies, etc., they would give you the impression that all these people look like you know what. People of color doing all these crimes, and everybody else is okay if you assume what you saw on TV was true. And the interesting thing is about democratizing the newsroom has not been successful in ensuring that what you see on TV is actually what is occurring in society. So, what we need to do is not have the guidance, the people who guide our media, the politicians who talk to us. We can't depend on those to give accurate information on what we're doing. We depend on having to educate the grassroots so that when Marjorie Taylor Greene does what she does and says that Jamaal Bowman, Congressman Jamaal Bowman, is a threat to her, she feels threatened around him, when the video actually shows her playful with this man. When she is an instigator that goes around with AR-15s next to the squad, etc. But the aggressor is Jamaal Bowman, when he has never shown an aggressive piece of sand in his body. This is what we must go through. And until we understand that, and as he says, until we learn history and how these things have historically happened, why do most of white Americans believe that somehow the crime rate among Black folks, Latino folks, is greater in the aggregate than white people in the aggregate? It's not true. First of all, BS in, BS out. Here in my white community of Kingwood, kids don't get arrested when they do things wrong. They don't. I live next to a park where a lot of things happen in the park, and when the cops happen to go out there, these kids get a pat on the back and say, "Go home to daddy, go home to mommy." In South Park or Studi Wood, which are predominantly Latino or Black or BIPOC communities, anything happens, they go to jail, go straight to jail. And it doesn't matter who the officer is, they go to jail. They get a record, they're in the system, so they're counted. All these kids that do different things out here in this neighborhood, the FBI cannot count them in any stats. You know why? Because they're not arrested. They're not placed into the system. How many times have you seen somebody stop and fighting with cops, and then resolution, they let them go? A friend of mine has been told when a drunk kid hit him at a McDonald's, the cops comes out and tells him, this guy has a scholarship. He's going to be going to the University of Texas. Could you kind of not press any charges here, and just his father's on his way? The cop. Again, what Jamaal Bowman went through is something that everyone should be cognizant of. And what Marjorie Taylor Greene did is tantamount to what the woman did in the park in New York when she got upset at a Black guy who said something about her dog, and then said, "Oh, he's attacking me," putting people's lives in danger. That is America. And that is why we have to change it at the grassroots by educating people, because those on top love to see that dissension. Those on top wants to make sure that the fear among folks continue, because under that condition, they can keep control. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.